on. Obviously, you know, there are natural sugars in foods, and that's something that's pretty unavoidable. But I cut out sugar. I cut out added sugars in my diet in October. So now I'm very aware of all the added sugars in a lot of foods. You know, salad dressings, condiments specifically. Ketchup is 50% ketchup or 50% fructose. You know, and all of these. Yogurt is a huge
even
one.
Plain yogurt.
Absolutely.
Sugar.
Because what they do, and especially for a lot of the fat-free versions of things, they take all of the fat out, so they add in extra sugar to make it taste good. So I do a whole other talk on sugar, but that's why I encourage people to buy full-fat dairy.
Yeah.
Full-fat yogurt, full-fat milk, full-fat cheese, because otherwise they're taking out the fat and they're adding the sugar.
Yeah.
So you're going to be more satiated if you eat the full-fat version. And it's a whole food that way. You know, it's not as overly processed as your 0% yogurts with all the added sugar.
You have to be careful also with alternative milks like cashew milk, almond milk, any of those, because if they're not unsweetened, there's a lot of sugar in there.
Yes, and that's a very good point, is looking for the unsweetened versions, because they should not have any added sugars. So again, sugars, added sugars is what I'm focusing on, just to be clear about that. But
is chocolate considered processed food?
It is, but there are health benefits to chocolate. Obviously, cacao is a superfood, and it has amazing benefits. So again, if you're going to reach for, a chocolate bar over a slice of, carrot cake or a cupcake or a cookie or something processed, yes, great. Just, not 3 chocolate bars, but half a bar of dark chocolate is not going to kill you, I kind of usually go with like the 90-10 rule, like eat well 90% of the time and 10% blow it, go for it. Otherwise, if you don't allow yourself these things, you're just going to, binge, and that's not going to help anybody. So, did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And we'll circle a little bit probably around that more specifically what foods I'm talking about as we move on in a little bit. So thank you for your question. Okay, so we're talking about diets high in sugar, refined carbohydrates, and processed foods. It's basically providing an all-you-can-eat buffet for this bad bacteria to thrive off of, right? What else thrives off of sugars? Cancer, inflammation. Sugar equals inflammation, which equal a lot of these chronic diseases.
Sugar is toxic to every single organ in your body.
Yeah. Specifically fructose. We can use other sugars as energy. Obviously, sugars are in carbohydrates, which we process, but fructose our body cannot, I was saying this as you're out of the room, cannot process. So that's why I'm specifically focusing on fructose and added sugars. So when you swap out processed foods for whole foods, you'll take in more fiber, right? What a concept. Fiber keeps you fuller longer, also helps you flush out your toxins, gifting you with a more regular bathroom routine, which, who doesn't love that? So I'm sure that you are all familiar with probiotics. I've heard about them once or twice. In the supplement form, not all probiotics are created equal. You kind of have to take the correct strains of bacteria to treat whatever disorder it is that you're suffering with, right? So you need to make sure that they're also present in adequate amounts. You'll see a container of probiotics, which they store in the refrigerator section for a reason. When they pack those probiotics, there can be like 42 billion, right, microorganisms. But they die off as time goes on, and they die off as they're exposed to heat. So that's why you want to keep probiotics in your refrigerator, and that's why the higher they are, the more expensive they are, because you really want to go into the trillions, honestly. Like, you want to take as many as you can. You can't, as far as I know, overdose on probiotics. So when you see the 42 billion, present, it shouldn't be a deterrent.
There was an interesting tip that somebody gave me. They sell the probiotic in the bottle.
Sure, yeah, liquid form.
Liquid form, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Echo something, I can't remember the name of it. It's got coconut in it. Someone has coconut flavor. This lady said that when you get to the bottom, towards the bottom of it, don't buy another bottle. Just add a little bit more coconut water in there.
Okay.
Does that work?
I have never used the liquid forms. The only one I'm really familiar with that I sell here at Whole Foods is Good Belly.
Yeah.
But the amount of sugar in Good Belly is blows my mind.
Yeah.
So I pointed that out to a customer once. He thought he was doing himself a favor, and I said, right, but there's more sugar in this than in the Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So you're kind of counteracting, they make it taste good so that you're drinking it, but I'm not quite sure about the brand that you're speaking of, but I would just definitely check the sugar content.
Yeah.
because
No, there's no sugar in the
counteractive,
bottle.
yeah.
There's no sugar in the bottle.
That's good.
But when you put the coconut water in, the coconut water has sugar in
Right,
it. So,
natural sugars, yeah.
yeah, so you have to be careful.
Just
Well, there
like
are
a
some-
kefir starter.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
yeah.
Just like a kefir starter.
Like a kefir
So
starter,
you
huh?
just keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
As
Cool.
long
Yeah.
as you keep it clean and cold. And
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about kefir
Mhm.
too. And fermented foods. What we're talking about, probiotics, right? Okay, so you're familiar with probiotics, but the idea of probiotics are planting something new in your gut, okay? So that's that piece of it. Probiotics, 400 plus species of probiotics in our body. So obviously that's why it's important to understand the different types and the kind of, not so much the role that they play, but just understanding that there are different variations. These are some probiotic-rich foods. Some of these probably look familiar. Some of these might be a little surprising. I didn't know that olives were probiotic-rich. I capitalized beer and wine because that felt important to me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I guess I don't ever think about those as fermented foods, but I saw wine listed several times as I was doing my research, right? But obviously 5 ounces, not a bottle of wine isn't going to do your gut a ton of favors. But some good things on this list. We'll talk about some of these a little bit more in depth. Probiotic foods are basically those that have been fermented and allowed to grow these helpful bugs that we're talking about, this helpful bacteria. So all of these things that are listed here, meat, even eggs, pickled foods. And again, like I mentioned, probiotics are easily damaged by heat and processing, so look for good quality sources. Like you're going to get what you pay for. I wouldn't recommend buying probiotics from Costco because they're going to be on the shelf and they're going to be very low quality, and it's probably not worth your money or your time swallowing the
sit
pill.
there for a while too.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why keeping them refrigerated is obviously key. So fermented foods, right? That's kind of a big deal.